Let's get right to it. No intro is needed. We're going to do the quick review of Jerry Wayne Jones' interview. And I heard a little bit of it, didn't get a chance to hear the complete interview while I was driving. Nevertheless, let's listen in to Jerry Jones on 105.3 The Fan. And you guys know how this goes, right? I'll play a little bit of it. I'll give you guys my thoughts. Let's listen to good old Jerry and company.
Jerry, what was your early scouting report on the Vikings last night, who you guys, of course, are going to take on Sunday right here on The Fan?
Well, I think they're frankly, a complete team to deal with.
Right.
You saw them do some things offensively there and saw what they've got in a quarterback, and he's there's no question he's one of the, frankly, top sound quarterbacks in the NFL. Sure. And that was a big victory for them last night. Chicago's an impressive bunch, and watched it all. And to play them at home, go up there and play them at home with where we are right now is going to be daunting, and I mean that. But those are the kinds of situations that you can have success and have a victory and really turn things around.
Jerry, does it look like,
before they go into details of that, yes, the Vikings are one of those scary teams. They got a running back that can knife through the defense, quick, elusive, and on top of that, they got a guy named Kirk Cousins who's not afraid to launch the ball down the field, and they got a hell of a young wide receiver who catches pretty much everything that's thrown his way. So we got a lot to worry about as it relates to that particular team, and this is an away game for us. And the last away game that we won was last year against the Detroit Lions. It was 2019. Let that sink into your mental. Let's see how we can figure out a way to win on the road.
you're going to have Andy Dalton and Cheeto back starting for you guys on Sunday? We saw that they practiced yesterday. Andy Dalton and Cheeto good to go?
Yes, they are. That's my expectation now. Obviously, relative to Andy's anything to do with COVID is clear, or he wouldn't be out there. But the other thing, you have to always have a little hesitancy when you say he's cleared to go. But right now he is cleared to go, or he wouldn't have been practicing. And so we're not waiting on anything. I'm talking about Andy Dalton. And Cheeto, it's good to have him back out there.
Cheeto.
We've really missed him. It's been a real limitation for us not to have him involved in the mix out there all the first part of this season.
Jerry, considering...
So when you talk about limitation with Cheeto, think about this. Cheeto been around the ball. It's just that last year he just couldn't get his head around to the ball, right? And I just think that if we were to see a combination of Cheeto and Diggs, maybe, just maybe, it would have been a whole lot better than whatever we was rushing out there. And I would love to see AB back inside, playing into the slot corner situation. And you would have maybe, Diggs still doing his thing, and you would still have a Cheeto doing his thing, and we wouldn't have seen Worley getting used and abused out there. Now, that's a story of a different day. Worley is gone, but you guys get what I'm saying, right? Maybe the warts of Xavier Woods' poor play wouldn't show up as much because now you have a taller corner and a more athletic corner in Cheeto Woozier, who have an interception, by the way. And I know we can't be cheerleading and pom-pomming about one interception, but at least we have somebody that can get to the ball. He might bite it down, and it just may be just that. But I think that he would have been better than what we rolled out all of this year.
And, how well Gilbert showed out last week, 2 weeks ago, I guess, and Andy coming off the injury, the head of the concussion and the COVID. Do you expect to have a shorter leash on him that you may have on a quarterback?
I don't think so. I don't think so. But it's. But you add it all up. It's the way we should go. Gives us the best chance. Andy's, that was very impressive and good, and feels good to know that Gilbert's capable of doing what he did out there. But this is, in our situation, this is the way to go. Andy Dalton's a starter in the NFL, a legitimate starter, started just careers of games, and he's where you want your quarterback on an experience scale. He's where you want to be when you line up in a football game, so we got to take advantage of that.
Now, all I'm going to say on this one, if Andy Dalton, I'm just using the big operative word, if, he lays an egg and they continue to try to put the lipstick on the pig and saying, yeah, Andy Dalton, he's the guy, he's the answer. I'm going to go all the way back to what my dog Michael Irvin said. See, Michael Irvin said everybody looking at Andy Dalton as being the best backup quarterback, but he was the worst starting quarterback when he started. Let that sink in when he was over there in Cincinnati. Remember, he was so bad that they pretty much drafted number 1 overall in the 20 draft. So now that we look at everything, now that he's the starter, he better show us something, because that rope shouldn't be long, because we still want to see some good stuff out there. And I know that people who put in the comment box, Team Tank TT, you can put that in the comment box if you want to tank this thing out. I'm all NT, no tank. But I know that a lot of people say, yeah, keep Andy out there so we can lose. But think about all of the other stuff. I mean, CeeDee Lamb doesn't deserve to have a quarterback that can't give him the ball. Michael Gallup don't deserve to have a quarterback that can't give him the ball, And we got to get a quarterback that can get these guys the ball. And I know it's not about stats or what have you, but collectively speaking, these guys are not running out there. You never know when it'll be the last snap they can run out there and play, right? Or the last play that they can play. So let's put the best talent out there. That's from me thinking. That's what I'm thinking. Let's listen to more what they have to say.
Jerry, we know that you guys are thrilled with CeeDee Lamb, but last night we saw Justin Jefferson again, and he's having a heck of a season. Do you remember how much of a difference there was between Lamb and Jefferson on y'all's wide receiver draft board?
When we just talked about first round, how unique the numbers of first round receivers were.
Yeah.
Well, of course, Jefferson was in that mix. Mm-hmm. And he's the kind of player that you want sitting there at receiver someplace in the first round. Lamb had Lamb had an additional pop that says this type of football player is a rare first rounder.
Right.
And so that's why we weren't really planning to go receiver. Mm-hmm. But that was the motivating factor to get his production, his explosiveness, all of the things. So he made that separation, and that's why we went with him.
So a lot of people sleeping on CD, and I know the Justin Jefferson kid is having a remarkable year. Fantastic. And his numbers are showing it, right? But we can only close our eyes and imagine if Dak Prescott was still on his team, or even if a quarterback that knows how to get the ball out to CeeDee Lamb. I know the offensive line is porous, but if we had a quarterback that can just get the ball out to CeeDee Lamb, all of this conversation would be like, nah, dog, you don't pass up on CeeDee Lamb. Now, I don't know how Jefferson drops or what have you, but in the draft, but I will say this. Sometimes people shine depending on the team that they fall on, and depending on the type of quarterback and the system that they're playing out of. So that's what I'm thinking, and that's what happened with that particular situation. That's why a lot of people can look back at this pick and say, oh, man, CeeDee Lamb, he's good and all, but if we don't have the quarterback that can get him the ball, it would seem like a worthless pick, right? So let's see what we do down the line as it relates to quarterback. I'm all in favor of keeping Dak Prescott, by the way.
Jerry Jones joining us here, 105.3 The Fan. Jerry, there's a player out there named DeAndre Baker, and recently there was an issue with his charges with the NFL with the courts that were cleared, so he's able to play. Will you guys have any interest in maybe bringing him in, kick the tires on him a little bit?
Hmm?
I don't want to get into him because I just the issues are something that I don't have at the tip of my tongue, or that we're always looking to improve.
True.
Always looking to improve. And so that's about all I want to say there.
Player evaluation.
Jerry, there was a story out there about punter Marquette King. Where did things go with King? Are you guys interested there?
Well, I think long term we have our punter, but we we don't have him under a tryout situation. So we're going to stay with how we've adjusted for our punter right now. But I don't want to rule anything out here.
Jerry, he's a salesman of a salesman, man. So you mean to tell me that Chris Jones is your long-term situation, but you don't want to rule anything out, but you're happy with what you got already? Basically, is what he pretty much said, right? He's happy with Hunter, and I think that the kid, he didn't punt bad last week or the week before last or what have you. So I can say this now. The Marquette King stuff is over with. It's out. Might as well rule him out. They don't have any interest in Marquette King, according to what Jerry just said. In my opinion, it's crazy. It's crazy. Nevertheless, let's listen to more what they have to say.
Jerry Jones joining us on the Buyers Barricades phone line here on Sean and RJ 105.3 The Fan. Jerry, when the bye week comes, we usually try to do a first half review of the season, and we were trying to come up with the players who have stood out the most. Who are some of the guys throughout y'all's first half who have jumped out the most to you for this year?
I like the way Armstrong. I think Armstrong has really shown the kind of thing you would hope at this stage in his career. I like what he's done. I frankly like Alden Smith. I like some of the things that Alden has done.
True.
I certainly like the way Lawrence is playing.
Yeah.
He's been a highlight for us out there. So, and I'm talking about an area there that has been an area of concern for us there on our defensive front.
War daddies, right?
I think you've got to give all the Lamb, the Diggs, the Gallimore. You've got to give all of those, and Baez. You've got to give those guys, young guys, their due as being what we thought they were. Diggs, the Gallimore. You've got to give all of those, and Baez. You've got to give those guys, young guys.
Let me hear it again.
As being what the Diggs, the Gallimore. You've got to give all of those, and Baez. You've got to give those guys, young guys, their due as being what we thought they were when we drafted them at this juncture. And so they're players that come to my mind real quick. These are some of the guys that weren't on the roster last year that have played well this year. I certainly like Pollard. And Pollard has had enough to really say we've got a guy here that can be a impact type player for us. So I like those guys right there back in the secondary.
So you ain't gonna say anything about Zeke? I'm just playing. Baez, I'm the last one that can talk about how people talk, but Baez, be honest, right? Baez, hey, tomato, that's just how this thing goes with that. He ain't gonna mention Ezekiel Elliott. He like Pollard, but he ain't gonna mention Ezekiel Elliott. I think he was tap dancing over that, It's crazy, Cowboy Nation. It is flat out crazy.
We certainly are doing a lot of shuffling around back there. We're seeing some pretty good things from Woods. We're seeing some things that when I think about where we can go with this second half of the season, these guys could step up and be the players that turn this thing around for us.
Jerry, one of the reasons we love having you on all the time is you rarely get blindsided by a question because you're so aware of all the topics and the talk radio because you pay attention. What is the most overrated media story so far of y'all's season, or something that you think we've really gotten wrong or hasn't really been fair in our criticism or our discussion of the Cowboys? Is there something out there that we really just need to set the record straight on for this season
Set
so
it
far?
straight.
Well, of course, first of all, that's about as fair as you want to get right there. I really think you've nailed it. I think your criticisms, we really tried to bolster up the center of our defensive front. We didn't get it done because of a combination of things, injury and production, Poe and guys like that. We didn't get it done from the standpoint of those guys coming in, enjoying younger guys, and making the transition that we wanted to make.
Facts.
And I think y'all have nailed that. You've said this defense looks like the guys are having to think too much and having to do things that might not be as natural as you would like to have them. We missed that. We missed taking these new guys. Every other team had to too, but we missed it by not having training camp and by putting those guys out there and asking them to do some things that they hadn't been doing.
All you had to do is listen to us, Jerry. We would have had you with a whole different mindset if you go get the guys that we told you to go get, right? I'm just pulling with you guys, man. It is what it is. I guess admitting that, hey, he was wrong on those type of categories is everything. And of course, I know that they're not going to say, well, we liked our guys again in this particular interview, I guess. He can't say it now, but it just goes to show you that that thing was crazy.
So I think we're right on the most important part. Early, we were moving the ball pretty good, but we were moving the ball at a time when the defense was letting us move that ball pretty good most of the time because we were starting off with such adverse conditions on turnovers.
Yeah.
And so when I look back at why we won 2 football games and close on certainly one of them, I think we've got it down. I think we were short on our how we approached and how we got on the field defensively and offensively. We not because of what we were trying to do so much offensively, those early mistakes, those turnovers, those fumbles, those things like that even when we had Dak, even when we were really we were absent at all times for the most part, having our tackles. But still, we were moving the ball and looked pretty good to move the ball, but we turned that ball over. So I think you got it.
Jerry, this was fantastic. Thank you so much.
Deep.
Enjoy your day, your week, and good luck on Sunday.
Thank you very much.
Let me see if I can play that back again. Yeah.
Those early mistakes, those turnovers, was fun time because we were starting off with such by putting those guys out there and asking them to do some things that they hadn't been doing. So I think we're right on the most important part. Early, we were moving the ball pretty good, but we were moving the ball at a time when the defense was letting us move that ball pretty good most of the time.
All right. So we was only moving the ball when the defense allowed us to move the ball. That is in line of what? Garbage time stats, right? Is that what he's saying? Because I'm not going to go back and forward with the people and say, well, this happened and that happened. Let me know. You know, this is a review situation, so I want to know your thoughts. Did he just say that we were only moving the ball when the defense allowed us to move the ball?
Because we were starting off with such adverse conditions on turnovers.
Yeah.
And so when I look back at why we won 2 football games and close on certainly one of them, I think we've got it down. I think we were short on our how we approached and how we got on the field defensively And offensively, we not because of what we were trying to do so much offensively, those early mistakes, those turnovers, those fumbles, those things like that even when we had Dak, even when we were really we were absent at all times for the most part, having our tackles. But still, we were moving the ball and looked pretty good to move the ball, but we turned that ball over. So I think you got it.
Jerry, this was fantastic. Thank you so much. Enjoy your day, your week, and good luck on Sunday.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Yesterday, we played a Doug Peterson clip. He called into his weekly show on WIP, and that was as real of a coaching answer as we've heard in a long time. That was as real of a Jerry Jones interview, I think, as we've had all season long. And I wanted to really know what the big misnomer was from us, the media, in talking about the Cowboys season. What have we gotten wrong? Is it Mike Nolan doesn't know what he's doing? Is it Mike McCarthy isn't in touch with these players? And I was looking for a different answer, and he's like, look, we screwed up the D-line. And, you know, we've had a lot of issues. He was pretty honest and genuine, I thought, about talking about the Cowboys' faults right there.
He was.
And he basically said they were scoring points in garbage time. That's going to be a headline. That's going to be a headline right there about, and it'll probably get, unfortunately, twisted into a Dak topic, right? Well, Jerry just said they put up garbage yards with Dak and garbage. But he was honest in saying, yeah, we were up there in terms of our offense, but it was when we were getting our ass kicked in the second half of a lot of these games.
Well, we only won 2 games. And we don't have to have 2020 vision, although it's the 2020 year, to see, you know, and also to hear what he's talking about. Let's be real about it, you know. And basically that's what he said. We only moved the ball when the defense allowed us. So I'm not trying to put answers out there for everybody or put things in people's head, but how can you go back to that same table and say, okay, I'm finna give this guy $40 million when we only scored or we only moved the ball when the defense allowed us? That's like painting yourself into a corner. Jerry is one hell of a salesman. And trust me, tomorrow or whenever they are eligible to pay Dak Prescott, and if they so happen to do that, then I will hush. But until that time frame, I'm just going to look at this thing like, man, they are really, really not to be trusted. I don't think that the Joneses are going to pay Dak Prescott. I just don't think. Now, you guys, you have the right to think otherwise. You know, those convinced against their will is of the same opinion still. So post me your thoughts. How can you make the justification of paying the guy $40 million? And I know we can look at this particular year and say, yeah, you know, without Dak, we're not moving the ball, period. You know, that's what I wish they would say, hey, wait a minute now. You know, without Dak, you're not moving the ball, period, you know. So regardless of whether or not the defense is trying to give you the situation or whether or not you're trying to move and take over the defense, you're not moving the ball at all. Hey, man, it's something else to think about. Maybe it's just the salesman selling things, you know. I believe that they should, that's the operative word, should pay Dak, or they should find a way to get this guy signed for the 2021 season and beyond. But the writing is on the wall. I think that as an owner, GM, manager, CEO, president, whatever the title he may have, he can't go out there and say, yes, we're looking for a drafting a quarterback in the 2021 draft season. I don't think that would be a wise choice. But I think that Jerry, it's impossible for him to continue to lie, or it's impossible for him to, not calling him a liar, by the way, it's impossible for him to tell half-truths or what have you, and it slips out and it seeps out. And that just Jones has been the Joneses, and we love him. You know, that's one of the things that we love him for, his true, authentic self, his transparency in a lot of situations. Now, his son, John Stephen Jones, maybe he can hide it a little bit, But Jerry, if you get him to talk a little bit more and longer, those little information start to seep out. And he's a brilliant guy, marketed genius. A class personified as relates to those categories. Elevating, I think that he can sell yellow snow. I'm probably quite sure he can sell yellow snow. He can sell sand on the beach. That's just what he do. That's Jerry Wayne Jones. And people are going to buy into what he's selling. That's just how it goes with the Joneses. All I can say is we love this team from sun up to sundown, from the womb to the tomb. We love this team from A to Z and beyond. Oh, my goodness. We'll find out what we want to look like against the Vikings. I want to know your thoughts. I want to know how you all feel about this whole entire groove of we only moving the ball when the defense allow. Or the people that he pointed out that said they having a good year this year, the DA, the Bidas, Diggs. He glad that he got Cheeto Awuzie back, and he's proud of the way Alden Smith is showcasing and showing his talent or what have you. And he said that, hey, he liked Pollard. He didn't mention Ezekiel Elliott, and I'm not trying to throw any salt or shade at Ezekiel Elliott, but it's strange to me that you mentioned Tyler Biadasz is having a good year, and he's on the front five as it relates to the offensive line. And all of a sudden, Tony Pollard's name has been mentioned, but your star running back that you're getting paid $90 million name is not being mentioned by the owner, CEO, president, Jerry Jones, the guy that sells yellow snow. Oh, my goodness. Post me your thoughts. Post me your concerns. Put TT in the chat box if you team Tank. Put NT if you know Tank. Let's fight this thing out. Let's figure this thing out. That's been my time. I really thank you all for yours. My name is Law Nation, LAW Nation. Let's continue to grind and shine. And one way or another, we'll figure this thing out. And remember, you're listening to nothing but the best. Let's go.